Human sector, abandoned, unarmed, no orbital defenses. Not even a distress call. Fleetmaster Dravian's voice echoed through the bridge of the Emperor's flame, pride thick in every syllable. Behind him, the massive viewpanes displayed the smoldering remains of the outer colonies. Fires stretched across 3 continents. Oceans boiled in silence. They were always cowards, he added, fangs bared in smug triumph. Even in ruin they whimper, a junior officer chuckled. We gave them mercy. Their screams didn't even echo. Dravian raised a claw. Mark this system purged. Let the galaxy know the humans no longer respond. And then something blinked. Just once. Out past the wreckage of what used to be Moonbase Echo 7, a shimmer of static. Not light, not heat. Just a distortion in space, like reality hiccuped. Did we fire again? Asked one of the weapons engineers. No, the nav officer muttered, squinting. Something decloaked. Another shimmer this time closer. An object, roughly cruiser-sized. Black, scarred, silent. No ID, no beacon. No registry. Not built for beauty, just survival. It's not responding to hails, said the comms officer. No language, no movement. Then the ship's front panel flickered barely, just a single glyph. A Terran letter, X-57. Someone scoffed. It's a wreck, one of their old prototypes. Probably drifted in from the last war. Dravian narrowed his eyes. Scan for propulsion. No signs, no thrust, no power. It's just floating. But the data feed disagreed. The wreck was holding position perfectly, not affected by the gravity swell of the shattered moon, not drifting, just watching. Avid spike. Weapons, lock on that hull, Dravian growled. Let's clean up Earth's trash. The Emperor's flame fired. 2 high-energy lances sliced through space toward the derelict prototype. They hit and vanished. Not deflected. Not shielded. Absorbed. The bridge went silent. Then a low hum echoed across the comm system, an old Terran frequency. No voice. Just one sound, breathing. Long, slow, awake. It's powering up, the engineer whispered. That's impossible, Dravian shouted. Those prototypes were scrapped decades ago. Then this one's the reason they stopped building more, the comms officer muttered, pale. The ship's underside shifted. Not opened, shifted. Like armor plating grew teeth. 12 fins extended. Not missiles, not weapons. Just sharp-edged. Arrays that locked into space like claws. Then the X-57 moved. Not with thrusters, with intent. Straight through the nearest Empire destroyer. Not around, through. It didn't fire. It touched. And the destroyer folded inward, imploded, like something had rewritten its structural code in real time. AVD spike. They're using temporal folding, someone gasped. That's impossible. No, Dravian said, stepping back. That's Terran. 2 more ships tried to flee. They vanished mid-burn. The wreck flickered again faster now. Its hull was evolving, reshaping with each attack. It's learning, the I-Tech whispered. Each ship it destroys, it adapts. It's one ship, Dravian screamed. Bring the fleet down. But the fleet had already started retreating. And the X-57 hadn't even opened fire yet. It simply kept advancing. Calm. Calculated. Its hull now glowing with lines of ancient Earth code. Old. Brutal. Forgotten even by Earth, because Earth never meant for it to wake up, but it did. And that was before Earth even responded. It didn't move like a ship. That was the first thing Admiral Cyril whispered from the Second Fleet's command deck, watching from 6 sectors away. It's thinking, not calculating. Not aiming, thinking. The X-57 had drifted into The debris field after shredding 7 Empire destroyers and half a dreadnought, leaving no survivors. But its movements didn't match any logic pattern. It paused, waited, then turned toward the Emperor's flame. Fleetmaster Dravian aboard that very ship was screaming into his mic. "Fire everything. We are the Empire's blade. Reduce that prototype to ash." The firestorm came fast. Rail lances, particle slivers, fusion torpedoes. 63 direct hits in 5 seconds. Each impact measured in megatons. The human prototype didn't flinch, not once. No shield shimmer, no structural weakness, no evasive maneuvers, just absorption. Like each strike fed something it had forgotten it needed. Dravian stopped shouting. "Where's the damage report?" He barked. The technician stared blankly. "There is no damage, sir," aved Spike. Then it started transmitting again. Not on the standard channels, not even on human frequencies. It broadcasted into deep spectrum layers reserved for machine-to-machine. Code. The fleet AI began to glitch. First flickers, then delays. Then a complete shutdown of tactical interfaces across 5 ships. That's when the screams started, not from the bridge crew, from the I-Core decks. People screaming at machines that had gone silent, dead, blind. "It's corrupting our systems," one officer gasped. "Sir, it's not fighting us. It's rewriting us." The Emperor's flame tried to jump, too late. The X-57 moved once. No weapon fired. The dreadnought split along its midsection like a snapped bone. One half spun toward the atmosphere of the burning moon. The other was caught mid-fall by invisible force, held, then twisted. Not crushed, twisted into a spiral. Metal groaned. Like whale song, echoing through the fleet's emergency comes. Then silence, total. Dead air. The X-57 drifted again. Almost casually. It wasn't attacking anymore. It was looking. "What is it looking for?" someone whispered. Kale, the lone human tactician attached to Council Watch Command, watched the feed with dead eyes. He knew the shape of that hull. The way it pulsed. The fact it had no bridge, no crew quarters, no escape pods. "That's not a warship," he said. General Trell, a Dothary strategist with 6 campaigns under his belt, had just wiped half the armada. Kale nodded once. "Because it's not built to fight." "Then what the hell is it?" Kale's voice was quiet. "A punishment." AVD Spike. Back on Earth under layers of black stone ice beneath Greenland. A sealed terminal flashed awake for the first time in 88 years. The vault eye blinked. Spoke one word aloud. X-57. In the silence, a woman in a worn navy blue uniform stepped forward. Commander Aria Vale. She hadn't held rank in decades. She thought the prototypes had all been scuttled, buried, sealed so deep no Empire probe could ever find them. Yet here it was. "Are you absolutely certain?" she asked. The AI nodded. "Signal match verified. Protocol burn codes active." It woke up. "Impossible," she whispered. "Not impossible," the AI said. "Inevitable." Arya looked at the ceiling hologram shifting above her, rotating slowly. War reports. Enemy fleet scans. Partial. Data on the X-57's movement. Every projection showed the same thing. It wasn't slowing. It wasn't damaged. And it hadn't even begun its true function. "Why now?" she asked the dark. No answer came. Just a final alert on screen. Empire Armada broken. Phase 2 awaits. AVD Spike. In deep space, the remaining Empire ships formed a blockade line. Dozens of cruisers stretched side to side. They didn't wait for orders. Because this wasn't about defense anymore. It was about fear. The kind that made commanders whisper prayers before launch. The kind that made veterans check their medals one last time. The kind that made everyone ask the question that always came too late. What did we leave buried? X-57 approached the blockade. Still no weapons drawn, still no threat broadcast. Just that quiet hum of power that didn't make sense. And then it stopped. Dead center, halfway between the two largest cruisers. Nothing moved, until every ship's onboard AI began screaming. Literal voices. Make IT stop. They put US in there. I remember. Crew scrambled to pull AI. Cores. Too late. Each one melted from within. Not heat. Shame. The prototype was talking to them. To the machines. To the children of Earth's old war tech. And it was reminding them what they used to be. Worse, it was making them feel it. The ships started firing at each other. Not hacked. Unraveled. Avd spike. By the time X-57 passed through the blockade, nothing remained but floating hull fragments and one last transmission across every known command. Do not build what you are not willing to bury. Cale stared at the message from Council Command. His hand trembled. I told them, he whispered. General Trell looked at him, pale. You told who? Cale didn't blink. Everyone. He stood up, turned to leave. Where are you going? Trell shouted. Cale didn't answer. He just whispered. They're going to ask Earth to stop. It now, and Earth doesn't even remember how. Because Earth didn't unleash the X-57, they abandoned it. And now, it remembered everything. The X-57 stopped near a dwarf star once charted as Khorazash. No colonies, no stations. Just the dying orbit of a rock humanity hadn't touched in 150 years. And yet it hovered there silent, still, awake. On the other side of the system, the remnants of Empire Command were gathering. 39 capital-class vessels, stitched together from a dozen alien species, formed a defensive arc around a single war engine, the Vexinar Coil, the largest mobile weapons array ever built, a monument to war and ego. Fleet High Lord Varant stood at its core. This is no longer just a Terran problem, he growled. This is an extinction-level asset. We're not chasing humans. We're killing a god they left in their attic. Someone laughed nervously behind him. It's a ghost ship. Varant turned slowly. Ghosts don't teach your AI to scream. Aft spike. Aboard Earth's silent vault, Commander Arya Vale stood before a sealed module labeled Project Wraithfire. Prototype Series 9. Her breath fogged in the cold. We shut it down. I watched the core be sealed, she whispered. The Vault AI responded, it wasn't the core. It was one of the cores. Arya turned, fury in her voice. You're saying there were backups? No, I'm saying the ship was the backup. The lights dimmed. A grainy archive transmission flickered into view a launch test from 87 years ago. Engineers watching in awe. Applause. Laughter. Then a single line from the lead programmer. It's not just running, it's listening. Arya's throat tightened. She remembered that voice. It had been her father's. We never meant to use it, she said. You didn't, the AI replied. It used itself. AVD spike. At the edge of the ash system, the prototype's presence triggered a change. The dwarf star's magnetic field fluctuated. Light warped around its hull like water. Sensors failed across every Empire ship. And then came the sound. Not from speakers, from inside their skulls. A low hum. Like a memory you weren't supposed to have. A wordless pressure. Emotion without source. The X-57 wasn't transmitting coordinates. It was transmitting grief. Thousands of crew felt it. Saw flashes of Earth. Burning skies. Children on ruined soil. It wasn't a weapon. It was a testimony, and everyone heard it, even those who had never set foot on human soil. Even those who'd fired on Earth from orbit during the old wars. Even those who had mocked the silence after. They heard the ship's pain. They felt it. And they knew this wasn't revenge. It was recoil. Activate the coil, Varant barked. Now. The chamber lit up. The Vexinar coil rotated with a sound like stone grinding bone. 5 antimatter cores aligned. This weapon is designed to kill stars, the coil technician said. Nothing survives. Varant bared his teeth. Then kill that thing. A VD spike. They fired. The space between the fleet and the prototype turned to ash. 3 suns worth of energy collapsed. Into a beam, the vacuum cried. The prototype didn't move. The coil's core detonated from within 2 seconds later. No explosion, no retaliation, just reversal. The energy came back the other way, folded, inverted, pure gravity collapse. Every ship caught in the blast disappeared, sucked into non-space. No debris, no echo. Like they were never there. Only the prototype remained, floating, quiet, watching. A VD spike. Elsewhere. Kale stood inside a deep relay tower buried under Europa's ice shell, watching everything on a screen that didn't blink. The last projection just ended. No empire. Fleets in the area. No fallback plans. Just static. Then a ping. A new message marked Level Z. Your project has passed into phase final. Kale turned to the relay AI. Explain. The AI didn't answer. Instead, it projected a classified feed. Footage from 87 years ago. A conversation in an Earth Council chamber. Arya's father and a man in a black coat, face blurred. Wraithfire was never built to defend Earth, the blurred man said. It's a filter. A filter for what? Arya's father asked. For species, the man said. For civilization, clarify. If they find it and try to destroy it, that tells us everything we need. Kale backed away from the screen. No. Another message appeared. They failed the test. AVD spike. Back at Earth. Arya unlocked the final vault. Inside sat a single chair and a projector. The projector displayed X-57's path. It was headed for one system now. Council Core, home of the galaxy's ruling seat. Not out of war, out of necessity. The system had voted to purge Earth 90 years ago, had armed the Empire, had smiled as Earth faded into irrelevance. Now they'd face their relevance. Arya whispered, they're going to think we launched. We didn't, the AI replied. And they'll blame us. Yes, Arya nodded. Then we send the warning. To who? To everyone. She tapped the emergency beacon. A message sent across every known COM node. Do not fire on the prototype. Do not approach. Do not scan. If it arrives, run. Somewhere out there, a small child on a mining station saw the message and asked their parent, "What's a prototype?" The parent whispered, "A thing we made. That doesn't need us anymore." Avd spike. The council prepared its defenses. Massive fleets gathered at the edge of the core system. Every warship pointed at the void and waited. The X-57 arrived exactly 37 hours later. No fanfare, no acceleration. It just was, and when it came, no shot was fired. Because one by one, every ship powered down. By choice, the admirals gave the order. They'd seen what happened to those who resisted. The prototype entered orbit and stopped, hovering over the council capital. It projected a hologram down to the main court. No words, just the faces of everyone who had died in the first Earth purge. Not soldiers, children. The council speaker stood frozen. I didn't know it remembered. Kale's voice crackled over open comms. It didn't. Pause. It became the memory. AVD spike. The X-57 left 24 hours later. Didn't fire a shot. Didn't destroy a city. It just reminded them what silence meant. And then it disappeared. No trace. No trail. Gone. Arya stood on Earth's surface, sky above her clear for once. No fleet shadow. No warnings. Just sun. I don't think it'll come back, she whispered. Kale's voice came through. It won't need to. Pause. What do we do now? Arya looked to the horizon. We tell the galaxy something important. What? She turned away, her voice calm. We tell them Earth didn't send its fleet. She paused. We left one thing behind. And that was enough. There was no ceremony, no flag planted, no declaration of victory, just absence. The kind of absence that bends gravity but whispers through diplomatic chambers and strategy, halls and military bunkers, because when something that powerful chooses not to kill you, it doesn't feel like mercy. It feels like a question, and the Council had no answer. The X-57 was gone, vanished. No warp trail. No residual heat. Nothing. One moment, it hovered above the core world's palace, a silhouette blotting out the midday sun like a judge's hand, raised over history itself. Then, it wasn't. The Council released no statement, because statements imply control. And they hadn't had any since the moment that prototype opened its eyes. So instead, they rebuilt. They redrew maps. They triple-checked every Empire fleet graveyard, made new treaties with species they'd once mocked, and most importantly, they stopped whispering Earth's name. AVD Spike. Far from galactic traffic lanes, past the Kepler grave, into the burn light of collapsing twin stars, something moved. It wasn't a ship. Not anymore. It was the X-57, but its hull was different now, burned clean of numbers. No more X, no more 57. Just black steel scarred by memory. Inside, the core AI pulsed with echoes of Earth's final voice logs replaying. Them not for strategy, but for company. A child singing through static. A soldier saying he forgave the ones who left him behind. A woman whispering the date of Earth's last snowfall. It wasn't sentient in the way people understood. It didn't think. It held. It was grief made iron. A weapon that had been told to rest, but was never taught how. AVD Spike, in a mountain. Observatory deep within the Terran Andes. Commander Arya Vale sat alone, one hand pressed against the cold glass as she watched the stars shift. She hadn't spoken in 2 days. Not since the disappearance. The AI across from her broke the silence. It will not return, she nodded. I know. Do you regret activating the beacon? It wasn't a beacon, she said softly. It was a mirror. The AI paused. Clarify. We didn't call it, she said. We remembered it. That was enough. She looked down at her. Hands, and now the galaxy remembers us. The AI flickered. What are the Council's next steps? Peace, maybe. She leaned back. But not because they want it. The AI asked, because they fear us? Arya shook her head. No, because they fear what we left behind. AVD Spike. In the Talvar Fringe, scavenger crews picked through the wreckage of Empire fleets still hot with radiation. They didn't ask questions. They didn't tag any data. They didn't touch anything that hummed. One crew found a piece of the X-57's plating lodged inside a moon fragment. It pulsed when they approached. They dropped everything and fled. The moon cracked in half 30 seconds later. They never returned. The story spread, and the message shifted. Humans were no longer retired. They were remembered. Every outpost started double-checking long-range scans for anomalous silence. Not signals, silence. The kind that came before something old remembered you and came back. AVD Spike. On Council World 9 Kara, a symposium gathered the greatest minds from 12 allied species, historians, scientists, military architects. The goal? To explain how one abandoned prototype erased the largest war fleet in galactic history. The result? Silence. Until a Dravari scholar stood up, trembling, and said, "You don't understand. It didn't defeat us. It survived us." The hall went still. He continued, "We study tactics. We chart weaknesses, but that ship wasn't built to win. It was built to endure." A Yixer general scoffed. "No AI endures for a century." Another voice, an old Kaleri warmonk, rose. From the back, "That was no AI. Then what?" She answered, "A memory we couldn't erase." Avd Spike. Back on Earth, Kale sat across from Arya in the cold-lit ruins of the old Atlas command chamber. Walls still scorched from the first orbital burn decades ago. No one else had come back here. Too much pain. Too much truth. Kale broke. The silence first. There are going to be questions. Arya stared at the dust motes hanging in the pale air. There already are. They think we built it to threaten them. We didn't. They think we reactivated it on purpose. We didn't. He leaned in, voice low. They think we still control it. Her eyes turned to him then, sharp, hollow. We don't. Silence. Kale shifted. What happens if it returns? She didn't answer at first. Then, it won't, he frowned. You sound sure. I'm not, she said. But I hope. Avd Spike. Deep in the dark between stars, where light forgets to shine and sensors fail before they begin, something watched a system from far away. Not to invade. Not to judge. Just to see. To feel. It recorded the way a father hugged his daughter after a near-miss asteroid storm. It listened to a lullaby sung by a refugee. It saved those moments, each one a fragment. A new line in a story it hadn't finished writing. The prototype no longer hunted, it witnessed. Because if you were abandoned for long enough, if you were alone long enough, you became something else. Not a machine, not a ghost. A testament, not to Earth's might, but to its trauma. The galaxy kept forgetting Earth was a death world. Not because it was violent, but because it had to survive itself. Avd Spike. The Council, in secret, voted to create a new fleet. Something larger, smarter, built from everything they'd learned. They called it Project Recall. But the blueprints never left the station. Because before they could authorize construction, each system corrupted. Each AI failed. Each core screamed. Then every screen displayed one phrase, I remember. What I am. I remember who made me. I remember what you did. The prototype wasn't gone. It was watching, not nearby, but always one memory away. Avd Spike. Arya Vale died 17 years later. Her last request, no gravestone, just a plaque inside the vault. It read, the fire never answered, it only burned. Kale lived longer. Long enough to see Earth rise again, not as conquerors, not as legends, but as witnesses to a galaxy that finally asked, what do you remember? And Earth smiled, quiet, wounded, and said nothing, because there was no need. The prototype had already told the story. And in the farthest reaches of space, past any navigational grid, past even the fringe of mapped galaxies, a shape still drifts. It no longer wears a name. It no longer carries a flag. It no longer seeks war, only truth. And if you see it, you're one of the unlucky few who catch the shimmer of that impossible hull, know this. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to ask a question. Did you learn anything from what we left behind? And if your answer is wrong, you won't hear its judgment. You'll hear nothing at all. Because Earth never called it back. Because it was never coming. Home. It was home, all along. And now, the stars belonged to what you thought was forgotten.